just like a couple tablespoons of seeds. I don't remember which ones these were, but I started with a couple tablespoons of seeds, and I soak them overnight. So you just take a mason jar, get a little strainer. If you want, you can get a kit where you can have these different kinds of strainers that go on top of mason jars. My dad actually bought this for me, and the entire kit, which I'll show you, 8 years ago. And the stuff is still sprouting just fine. No problems. So they really do. It's a great investment. So I let the seeds soak overnight, and then the next morning I rinse it out. So you just shake it out. That's okay. It's water. But yeah, you rinse it out, you shake it out, and then you put fresh water in it, shake it up, spill it out, and then you're just gonna try to let it like dry, and you want to tilt it on its side so that the water is coming out. And then you just rinse it, shake it up, give it a real good shake, and rinse it 2 times a day. And by the end of a few days, you have full-fledged sprouts. Like, it took over the entire jar. And we can eat these, like, right now. They're super great for you. So will we have that with lunch? Yeah. I brought a little container for you guys to have that. And then this is a more bougie way of doing it. So hopefully, are you going to hold this for me? Oh, thanks. So this is something that I got on Amazon. Oh, here you go, camera people. So this is something I got on Amazon. This is just a top, and these actually are also strained, like they're strainers. It's just stainless steel strainers. And you can soak them again overnight in any container. It's just seeds, so you're just soaking the seeds in water. And then you rinse and pour the water and everything into this container. And from here, at the bottom, you're just catching the water. So if you see there's water in there. So you're just gonna, go in your sink and just, and it goes to the bottom tray as well. And you can see that these, you could start eating these because they're already like 2 centimeters, but I would wait a little longer to make sure that more of them are sprouting. And then you just leave this on your, on your countertop. It's like the easiest, and it also looks nice. Especially when these actually become full-fledged, and ready to go, they're gonna look really pretty. So, just to show you also what, I don't know how much my dad spent on this, so I can't tell you prices, but just to give you some examples, we have a clover sprouting seeds. They usually come with instructions at the back to tell you how exactly you do it, but there's a lot of sprouts. This is garbanzo sprouting seeds, protein powerhouse sprouts, which have azuki, garbanzo, mung, and green peas. You could really get fun with this. There's a 5-part sprouting, a green pea sprouting, a crunchy lentil feast salad. Like, you can just have fun and find the sprout that you like. So just some fun recipes to make with sprouts to get you guys inspired. This is from the YouTube channel. I don't know why her channel is this, but it's called Her86M2. It's very strange for a channel name. But anyways, that's her channel. She's got a lot of really cool ways to make sprouts. And so one of the things she did is like fancy avocado toast. Genius, right? Just sprinkle it on top. You can eat it. And in this case, she ate it with avocado also and tuna fish. She also puts it in soups. And in the bottom middle picture, she made like a fried tofu and eggs and then put it on the side. She also puts it in salad. Like, anyways, I don't want to take up your time with this, but please feel free to get creative with it and have fun. So, like I said, they come in a variety of colors and crunchiness and taste factors and everything. So I say to go either online, you can shop and get these, or at the regular grocery, maybe not a grocery store, but a health food store should have these seeds. And then just experiment and see what you like. So that is it. And now Tim is going to do his little talk, and we will be done. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone has been enjoying this so far. Just a little bit of disclosure. I was supposed to go first, and now I don't know if you guys know about this with school projects, but typically you go first because then you don't look bad after everything else. That's what's going to happen now. So my section is going to be a lot shorter, and unfortunately, I don't have fun, nice visuals like everyone else did. But the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is, kind of just a law or a rule that kind of goes along with engineering. And so when we see things around, they're made, all the things that are created are made in such a way that it accentuates its usage. So for example, if you see, my iPad case has a big loop at the back, that's to put your hand through to hold it. Or if you see a cup and it has a handle, that's for you to hold on to, like a mug. If you see a device like this with a large screen, that means that, you're supposed to look at it and there's going to be information on it for you to read. The same thing happens, obviously, in the natural world. So, when you see things that are aerodynamically shaped, like penguins, you know that they're made for cutting through the water or through the air. If you see something that has webbed feet, you know that it's supposed to swim and kick around. Likewise, the opposite is true. If you see something that has webbed feet or is super aerodynamically shaped, they're usually not so good at walking around on land. I don't know if you guys have ever gone like scuba diving or anything like that, but when you put those flippers on your feet and you try to walk around on land, you're likely going to fall or hurt yourself or something like that. So, what does this mean for us? A lot of the things that we've looked at today so far, Pieta was talking about looking at nature, looking at what our body does, looking at our physiology, and seeing how we would normally get these sorts of nutrients and everything like that. Our body is made up of 600 different muscles, and that is just our skeletal muscles. So, we have 3 different types of muscles. We have smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and skeletal muscle. Smooth muscle is the kind of muscle that you would find normally along your digestive tract. Cardiac muscle is the muscle around your heart. Skeletal muscle attaches to your bones. So, seeing that this is the case, what does that show us about our body? God intended for us to move. So, Pieta again was mentioning the fact that a lot of our life now is focused around inside activities, or we live sedentary lifestyles and all of these different sorts of things, and that is not what our body was made for. With all of these different muscles, we're made to move around. So, we have a huge influx of many different diseases, many different ailments over time, and as we see as time goes on, these ailments just keep getting worse and worse and worse. We have cardiac disease, we have osteoporosis, we have arthritis, we have depression, we have anxiety, we have all these different things that are kind of plaguing us today, and we have so many different ways of kind of looking at this, and maybe there's this new therapy, or you can do this new thing, or do this and this. And I hope if we've gotten anything from today, it's that God has given us all of the things that we need to live a healthy lifestyle, more or less at our fingertips. Sprouting, super easy, right there for you. The sun, literally no one can take that from you. So, and the other thing is movement. So, the very simple phrase that I'm going to leave you with for my little section here is move more. They've done many studies, and they've found that the more you walk around, the more you move around, the more you're active, the more you're going to put off many other ailments and diseases, such as osteoporosis, heart diseases, even things like COPD and lung issues. So, for example, with osteoporosis, Auntie Pia talked about it a little bit earlier, is kind of brittle, breaking down bones. What happens with your bones is the more you get up, the more you move, the more you do impact kind of exercises and sports, your body will actually lay down more bone tissue in those areas. Conversely, if you're not moving, the body does the opposite. So your body is really, really complex, and it sees that there's no point putting more calcium and all of these different sorts of things to a bone that's not going to be utilized or be put up with anything. So it'll take those nutrients away from those areas. Whereas if you are putting lots of pressure onto certain bones and things like that, it'll lay down more. An interesting documentary that I saw was about these Shaolin monks who like break boards with their fists and all this other kind of stuff. And what they did was they would start with they had this huge stack of newspapers up against a brick wall. And every day they'd go and punch at the newspapers. And every couple of months they'd take away some of the newspapers until they were just punching bare rocks. If you or I were to go up and try to punch those bare rocks, we'd end up with a lot of broken bones. But because of the fact that they slowly increased it over time, they had a lot more bone building up on their fingers and on their hands that could allow them to do these sorts of things. So, moving more. We have, if you look it up, there's again, a lot of studies that say that, moving around and being active can reduce all of these different things. A lot of people have heard the whole 10,000 steps a day will help to decrease all of these sorts of things. And as I was actually studying this, I found a lot of people saying that was actually a lie. And so they say that a lot of times, people think, okay, you have to, if you really want to get all of this good stuff from exercise, you have to really be exercising all the time, and you have to make sure you're a guru at this stuff. That's not the case. Little bits count. There have been studies that showed that walking as little as 5 miles a week can decrease your likelihood of getting Alzheimer's. Also, there's studies that show that 6,000 to 7,000 steps a day will decrease your likelihood for mortality and morbidity, So this study was with, I think it was 85-year-old women, and they were checking to see about what level these rates started to drop off at, and it was just about the 6,000 to 7,000 range. So if you're getting that much, you're still getting a really good amount of movement in. Kind of made me feel after that, though, so then what's the point of doing more than that? Why would you stop? Why don't you just stop there? If that's your limit and things kind of level off at that point, we could just stop. But they found that obviously that's not the case. So the more exercise you do after that point, the more it decreases risks of things like cardiac disease and all of these other things, to the point where if you're getting those 10,000 steps a day, your likelihood of cardiovascular illness is actually closer to 0%. So, the goal of this whole section, the goal of our series, as you can tell, says health is wealth. We want to expand our lifetime. We want to utilize our body to the best that God has had it for us to be. And the best way to do that is make sure, you don't pass away prematurely. So exercise, movement, eating right, these are all ways that we can make sure that we don't, end our life sooner than it should be ended. So again, next time when I come back, this is most likely going to be the start of a longer seminar. So we're going to have many different sections on nutrition, sections on survival skills like Nina was saying previously, about wild foods that you can and can't eat, things of that nature, and also more on exercise and wellness and whatnot. So be ready for that in the future. But one last thing, as we've talked about, So back in the Garden of Eden, we didn't have clothes on, all of these different sorts of things. So our bodies were open and ready for all the vitamin D. Also, God did not create us with shoes on our feet or anything like that. In the current world, we have lots of issues with, feet problems and problems with people's feet and different things going on there. A lot of the issue with that is because of the fact that we don't move our toes around and move our feet. Whereas with your hands, we don't have as many issues with hands. If we do, it's something more towards arthritis or something like that. But movement, keeping moving, will keep your body healthy and young. There's a lot more that I can say about this, but in the effort of time and keeping things a little bit shorter, I'll No, I'm going to mention just a little bit more. Okay, so um, yeah, exactly. We're already here, and if you guys are watching on Zoom, you're there too. Like, what's 5 minutes more, right? So with arthritis is a breakdown of the cartilage in your joints. What I always tell people when I see them for physical therapy is that if you think of your joints like a frying pan, cartilage is like the Teflon on your frying pan. Now, as far as I know, there's been other studies by different health practitioners and things like that, and maybe we can get Auntie Pieta to come back and talk about this, but there isn't so much that we can do to replenish your cartilage on a joint. Once it's gone, it's kind of gone for good. So what happens is, inside of your joint, once you have this arthritis and the breakdown of cartilage and things like that, a lot of times people will sit still and they won't want to move because moving is painful. Because now when they move their joints, you can literally, I have patients where you can literally hear and feel their joints going, and they're like, that really hurts. And you could imagine, because it's basically bones grinding together. So, people will stop moving at that point, and they'll say, like, no, it hurts too much to move, I don't want to move, whatnot. But inside of your joints, there's actually still a little bit that can be done even at that point. So in each joint, there's something called your synovial fluid. Synovial fluid is like a natural lubricant inside of your joints. Now, typically, when your cartilage is completely there, cartilage is kind of spongy, and so it'll absorb some of that synovial fluid, and as you move your joints around, that synovial fluid will be spread out amongst the joint. Going back to the frying pan analogy, it's kind of like adding oil to the frying pan. Now, everybody knows that, if you have a really bad pan, you're never really going to fix that pan with adding oil to it, but because the problem is still there, but it does help for a temporary solution. So the same thing can be said again with arthritis. Again, you may be feeling lots of pain from moving around with arthritis, but keeping moving, keeping active will help to decrease that pain, at least for the temporary. So, again, that is our talk for today. Before we close off, we're going to finish off with a little bit of prayer, because you can have all of the health in the world, you can have as long of a lifespan as you want, but, if it's not with God, then what's really the purpose? So let's go ahead and let's bow our heads for prayer. Dear Lord, it is amazing how wonderful you are and how fearfully and wonderfully we've been created, Lord. The more we learn about health, the more we learn about our bodies and about all of the different things that you have around us, about the natural world, the more we see that you have created this world for us and in such a way to help us out, Lord, in every turn. We pray that we will be able to utilize these lessons that we learn here and all these different things that we learned here to be able to make us more healthy, to show us that, again, you have everything in control. And I pray that as we become more healthy, we can share what we learn with other people and bring them not only to a healthy state, but into a healthy spiritual state, Lord. I pray that you will watch over us, keep us, guide us with all of these health things that we'll be seeing. We know that it's not easy to change, but with your help, you can make it easy. I pray this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Just again, want to say thank you guys for staying for the first ever Health is Wealth seminar. And if there are any questions that Tim and I can answer, we're happy to take them. But I think Tim's point is very crucial to remember, that with all of this, this is not meant for us to boast, for us to be better than, the rest of the suffering Americans, like, with their current American lifestyle. Like, we are meant to use this as a method of preaching to the gospel, basically, to the public. And what did Jesus do first? He came and he healed and he met their immediate needs first, and then with that was able to preach to them about the message. So that's the purpose. If you're just doing this so that you can, escape death, it's not the point. Like, you're missing it completely. Yeah, you're still going to die. And that's what Doug Batchelor says is, at the end of the day, like, you just made yourself a healthy sinner. Like, congrats to you for living in a sinful life longer. Like, what do you want, a pat on the back? I don't know what you want. So yeah, just a reminder again, this is what Ellen White told us, that the health message is specifically meant for the Seventh-day Adventist Church to push forth the gospel. So thank you for that reminder. And if there are any questions, Jasmine?
How long did it take for you to make this?
Hours. It took many hours. Also, if anyone has any recommendations on anything they want us to talk about, like a specific area of study or a specific illness or sickness that maybe they know somebody or are dealing with, we're happy to talk about that. Yes.
One of the questions I have about you, when is the next meeting?
That's a great question. So for those of you guys don't know, Tim and I just bought a house, and thank you. And so we are supposed to be moving into that next month. So I think next month's going to be chaotic. Maybe July. Did you have another question?
I do. I mean, with the things that you guys mentioned, I know my diet is out of whack because everything your aunt said, I'm a vegetarian, eggs,
Yeah.
I have a whole wheat bread without the yogurt and with the coffee. I was
Yeah. It's home.
I have a healthy diet. I'm an avid person, exercising, anything outdoors is fantastic, but I'm a gym rat.
Yeah, that's good.
However,
Yeah.
I have joint issues.
Yeah.
My hands hurt, my toes hurt.
It's inflammation.
I walk weird because my toes hurt. So
Look at what you passed down to me.
Oh, no. You can turn genes on. That's epigenetics.
yeah, that's right. Because this is not genetic. My mom
Yeah.
is 73 and now is
Wow.
issue. So
Wow.
some of the things that like I don't have a green thumb.
Right.
I don't like work.
Yep.
Anything that sounds like work, I don't want to do. And you got me excited when you tried it.
I'm excited too.
Move into what's the other one? Microgreens.
Microgreens, yeah, they're fun, colorful.
Maybe something to keep in mind is for the next time, give us like a to-do list.
Oh, yeah.
Like these sprouts, like literally everything that you have in here, like have a list and maybe like a section of gardening.
I would love that. I actually wanted to talk, one of the topics we're going to talk about is hydroponics. And it's so easy to do. You can do it complicated, but the way we've been doing it, we've been getting fresh lettuce, and it's so delicious. And the lettuce lasts like so long in the fridge, not like the stuff you get in the stores. So I'm happy to share that.
Like share something with us, like this is your homework.
Oh, sure, homework.
Have this, and
I can do that.
bring it, those that don't, but at least it's a start.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Yes.
I like the combination of the workshop to that part because health is an ingredient. Sometimes in the United States we're so privileged when we're talking about health, we're talking about food, and eating. And you will find out that we have to look at the amount of research.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the animal kingdom, they have zero research.
Right.
All of this stuff is perfect.
Right.
You know, the giraffe, the hippopotamus, the elephant, they live the longest. They're strict vegetarians.
Wow.
So the ingredients, when you balance that, actually, when you look at people who live long, there was a guy 100 years ago, they go, what's your secret? You go, eat less food.
Yes.
Food is so much a part of our culture that
Yes.
it's hurting us.
Yes.
If we actually ate one meal a day, with a snack here and there, you would be better off. Look at the animal kingdom. There's this bird, when it's ready to travel to California, it eats enough food to travel. Well, when you want to drive, you fill your tank. If you haven't driven your car for 3 days, do you keep putting gas in it? No, you don't. And it's so simple. It's so simple. The Lord said, I have placed before you an open door and no man can close. So the thing, in your last comment, all the study we're looking at here today, it's not about living long.
Yeah.
Because no one controls that. Let's say you live for 50, 80, 90, 100 years. The quality of life.
Quality.
No matter how long you live, all
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Most, over 60% of American public over 60 take one prescribed medication with significant number of pain. That's a low quality of life. So
Wow.
this combination here is pretty good.
I think you're going to be doing the next talk with us. Because that's honestly, I mean, it's a great point because, like you're saying, I mean, Tim was actually doing the 1 meal a day thing for a while. You felt good on it. No problems. And I had other people coming to him concerned, oh my God, but you're not getting as much nutrients as you should be getting. You must be, you're lacking. And I'm like, well, his blood, like, he just got his blood test done. It doesn't show any lack. Yeah.
It was January. I went to Jerry to check all my vitals.
Yeah.
Why did I do it? Because my digestive system had been working for over 50 years.
Yeah.
Having had a break. I sleep. He said, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
So I went to Jerry, checked all my vitals, and then I did a fast for 1 week.
Wow.
I ate no foods for 1 week, not even a peanut. 3 days, it'll be like, I mean, come to the 5th day, it was getting, I said, I gotta do this for 2 more days.
Yeah.
And I drank water with salt in it.
Yeah.
Just for my,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I wasn't looking to lose weight. I lost like 8 pounds. And
Wow.
I go back to Jerry after the 1 week. He checked my blood. I am healthier
It's incredible.
when I started. I'm healthier when I ended.
Yeah.
I wasn't sick.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I play volleyball, my shoulder hurt and stuff.
Yeah.
After 1 week, the pain went away.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. And I go online to study these things. And these are not Christians.
Right.
They're getting rid of major diseases just because this one doctor, you know what he said? He said, what, you cure people with fasting. You know what he said? It's biblical.
It is biblical.
He said, nothing cures you. Fasting doesn't cure you. What fasting does, when you stop eating, you get away from interfering with the body to cure itself.
Yes.
Your good cells get stronger without food. Your bad cells die. And they get rid of pain. This is amazing.
I have heard of fasting being used to help cure cancers too, and there's something super powerful about it. When you stop eating, you actually give your body a break to actually focus on the rest of the repairs it needs. Like, if we were constantly using the church, for example, but the ceiling is broke open, we can't repair it. We need to get everybody out, and then we can, focus on repairing the ceiling. So that is a very important thing that is biblical. There was a couple others. Yes?
I'm glad that you actually said that. And then, as me and my husband, we were growing up, we were skinny all that time.
Yeah.
We always wanted to gain, but even to now, like my husband still has that in his mind. He needs to gain weight, he needs to gain weight. And so, like, consuming.
Oh no. Yeah.
His way is thinking.
Yeah.
We don't eat enough. We're not eating enough.
Yep.
And then we say to ourselves, when we try to force ourselves, it's like we can't.
Yeah.
Right? We know we're forcing ourselves.
Right.
I'm glad you said that because it's like I think society teaches us that you have to be a certain
Oh yeah.
way.
In America.
Yeah.
It's America. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, like just hearing you say that. And then another question I had is somebody answered. She didn't put how much. She didn't say it.
Yeah.
Like how much sun for each skin color. But if you're dark.
Yeah.
I think she said red.
Let me see.
I don't know if I
Tim,
see
pull it
red.
up. Pull it up. Tim can answer that in just a second. Go back to the.
She was saying that if you're white, go until you see the red.
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I don't know if that's I guess that's where you have to do the experimenting. Where if it's $35 and you could even go to the doctor and just be like, hey, I'm sure most people's insurances would cover a vitamin D test. Just say I want to get tested. Sometimes you have to convince your doctor, but you just push. I want to get tested. Well, why do you have to get? I want to get tested. Don't even question me. And they do it. Yeah, combination of blood work. Yeah, right. The red. That's where I was gonna. Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Yeah, black people don't get red. So I think that's where you gotta yeah. I mean, maybe you could feel, I don't really know. I don't really know, but I would say try to do the 30, 40 minutes a day and then test. And then if you're like, good, we'll test prior and then test after and see if that works. If it's.
Looking at the chart that's on here, it's hard for people to see in the back because it's a little smaller and stuff like that. But I think the thing that you're mainly trying to get away from is the damage done to your skin by the sun. So that's why, for fair-skinned people, like she was saying, when you start to see those red patches, then it's time for you to get out of the sun because now instead of getting something beneficial, you're starting to go a little bit more harmful. So I think with darker skinned people, you're far less likely to reach that moment. Yeah. So again, I was talking to Nina slightly about this while Auntie Pia was talking, but she was talking about the shadow rule, where if your shadow is longer than you are, then basically you're not really getting all the vitamin D that you should be getting, if any at all. If you look at the areas where really fair-skinned people come from, they come from kind of the poles of the earth. And with trigonometry, you could see that if the sun is very low on the horizon, that means that your shadow is going to be very long for most of the day, if not all of the day. So that is why those people that live in those areas are very fair skin tone. People who aren't fair come from typically right at the center of the planet, where the sun is mainly going to be passing overhead most of the day. So the risk of us, now obviously you could probably still get skin cancer. There's a way to overdo anything. But the risk of someone who is very dark getting skin cancer or getting harmful effects from the sun is a lot less likely.
Does that help? Yeah. Yes. Oh, I think there's one behind you, and then did you have one more? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Oh, thank you. Mm,
And medical missionaries are carrying the health message to not only the church, but taking it out of these four walls in the community.
exactly.
That's